Hey everybody, it's Greg. So the other day I opened up the internet to do some reading. I'm a CPA, so I'm a bit of a money nerd, so naturally the article was in finance. The article referenced a report that said that 74% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 74%? That's a huge amount. That's not just the majority, but it's the large majority. That means 3 out of the 4 people that you're standing in line with to get your morning coffee are waiting for their next paycheck just so that they can pay rent. You know, that part of the article blew my mind, but there was a part that actually surprised me even more. The report said that 1 out of 3 people making over $150,000 also live paycheck to paycheck. What? That's insane. You're making over $150,000, but you are still worrying about your next paycheck just so that you can cover some bills. It also said that 1 in 3 people who are making between $50,000 and $100,000 are also living paycheck to paycheck. You know, really what that made me think of is it doesn't matter where along the income scale you are, you still struggle with living paycheck to paycheck, because if 1 in 3 between 50 and 100,000, and it only drops to 1 in 4 if you're making over $150,000, it doesn't sound like an income problem. It sounds more of like a spending problem to me. You know, I can understand the people making minimum wage, working at a fast food restaurant, why they struggle and why they live paycheck to paycheck. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck making $50,000, you're most likely going to be living paycheck to paycheck if you're making $150,000. You know, those $150,000, people who are making that much money, they were probably living paycheck to paycheck before they ever started making that money. And they just got into a habit of it, and it kept going. You know, most likely their paycheck went up, and so then their lifestyle also went up. That's a thing called lifestyle creep. You can think of it this way. If your paycheck goes up, you're making $500 extra a month, in their eyes they're thinking, okay, I have $500 more to spend. So they fill that void with something, whether it's eating out or buying a nicer car or buying a more expensive house. And so their lifestyle moves up with their income. You know, I'm not completely condemning lifestyle creep, because obviously you want your life to be better. You want things that you didn't have before, and that's all right. I mean, making more money, it does afford you the ability to go and do things that you couldn't do before. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck and your income goes up and you are still living paycheck to paycheck, worried about your next paycheck, that's when lifestyle creep is a bad thing. You know, even I have lifestyle creep, because if I didn't, I would still be living in my buddy's basement paying $200 in rent. But my income went up and I said, all right, well, I don't want to live there. I'm going to go and find a house and purchase a house. Plus, I highly doubt he would want me, my wife, and our 3 kids living in his basement. You know, back then I was a single college student, so it just made sense. You know, most people who fall victim to lifestyle creep or are living paycheck to paycheck, most likely they're just not tracking their expenses. They're also probably spending in the following order. 1, they probably pay for their wants. 2, they pay for their needs. Those might change it back and forth a little bit. 3, they pay themselves. And then 4, they pay it forward. By paying it forward, I just mean like charitable donations or helping other people out. Obviously, all of our wants are pretty unlimited. Like, I want vacations, I want dirt bikes, I want a new truck. So our wants can just be crazy. So if we look at it in the 4 things, our wants, then our needs, then ourselves, then paying it forward. You know, if our wants are unlimited and our income is going up and our wants are our priority, then all of our money is going to feed into that, and we're going to have little left over for ourselves or for helping other people. So if people's money is being eaten up by their wants, we obviously just need to switch the order of how we spend our money. So instead of paying for our wants, then paying for our needs, and then paying ourselves, and then paying it forward, I suggest doing it this way. First, pay yourself. Second, pay it forward. Third, pay for your needs. And then 4th, pay for your wants. In that same article that I read, it said that 30% of people do not have an emergency savings. That's really why you need to pay yourself first, just in case something happens where you have this emergency fund there to help yourself. And really, you can't help other people unless you've helped yourself. The next is to pay it forward. We all want to help people, especially people that are struggling. There is no better time to do that than now. A lot of people think, oh, when I make a little bit more money, then I'll be able to help people. But it's good to get into the habit now. You'll also be surprised at how just simply being generous ends up finding its way back to you. Generosity follows generosity. So if you're being generous to other people, you'll find that you receive more generosity in your own life. In my life, I've always noticed that God seems to bless me when I am willing to help other people. And you can call, the blessings you receive God, karma, whatever you like. But I know that you'll be blessed by helping other people. Okay, number 3 is paying for our needs. Obviously, a house is a big one, so we need to pay rent or pay a mortgage. We'll also need things like food, utilities, clothing, and transportation to and from work. We have to remember that these are needs, so buying a giant house, that probably falls more into a want. Having a really expensive car probably falls into that want category as well. We just need to keep our spending reasonable at this point. After paying ourselves, paying it forward, and paying for our needs, any money left over can go to our wants. These are things like vacations, eating out, the dirt bikes I mentioned earlier, things that we just want but don't necessarily need. Even though my income has increased over time, I still live paycheck to paycheck. But I do it a little bit differently. So first I pay myself, and I usually pay myself between 10 and 15% just right off the get-go. I pay myself by investing. Next, I pay it forward, which usually is right around 10%. Then I pay my needs, and then I pay my wants. And then this is how I live paycheck to paycheck. If I have any money left over, that goes automatically into the pay myself account. So I go and I take that money and I invest it, or I put it into savings, and then I start over for the next paycheck. So then I have this $0 balance. I get my paycheck and I do it all over again, where I pay myself, I pay it forward, I pay for my needs, and then I pay for my wants. I did this all during college, and I was able to save money during college. I didn't get into student loan debt. I didn't add to that monstrosity. I was able to go through college debt-free and actually at times save money. So I started making it into a game where I could see how much money I could pay myself. Whether that was on the upfront side, saying, okay, instead of paying myself between 10 and 15%, maybe I'm going to up it this time to 20%. Or maybe it was on the back side where I said, okay, any money left over, so let's try and get as much money left over as possible so that I can take that and move it into a savings account before my next paycheck came. Making it into a game and checking my bank account all the time made it really fun. It was fun to see how much money I could save each paycheck. So if you are currently living paycheck to paycheck, maybe don't stop. Let's just switch it up a little bit. Instead of going wants, needs, yourself, and then forward, do yourself, pay it forward, pay for your needs, and then pay for your wants. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. If you want to keep living paycheck to paycheck, switch it up a bit. Go the other route. Make it a little game, save some money.